Om Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. The common song Sri Ramakrishna used to sing now and then. Can Mother, Divine Mother, can we understand? Can human understand the God? Can finite understand the infinite? Can microcosm understand the source of macrocosm? Divine Mother is the source of the macrocosm, and in macrocosm we all microcosm live. We are born, brought up, we undergo transmigration, everything happens within macrocosm, and macrocosm itself appears and disappears in the Absolute. And with respect to all this creative process, Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, and our own existence in the universe, the relative existence, and our efforts to go beyond the limitations of nature, to reach the transcendental realm, to go beyond the whole universe, enter the Absolute, the Satchidananda Sagara, the ocean of existence, consciousness, bliss, Absolute. With respect to all this, with respect to Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara, with respect to the entire existence, the Absolute is considered as Divine Mother. And independent of all this, when nothing, if we don't consider anything, or if everything has dissolved back, there exists only the Absolute existence, and we call it Brahman, the Absolute, the Nirguna Nirakara, the Vastu. Now, just like in our existence also, the moment we enter into deep sleep, the second stage, whole universe and everything disappears. Then I am only pure existence, one with the Vishwa Chaitanya, the universal consciousness. My individual consciousness is dissolved in the universal consciousness, and the entire universe and everything disappears from my consciousness, including mind, my ego, my identity, my personality. Nothing remains when I am in deep sleep. Similarly, when I merge in the transcendental also, nothing exists. When in Nirvikalpa also, nothing exists. The whole universe, everything disappears from my awareness, and I am in the Absolute existence. Similarly, when the whole universe dissolves back into the Absolute at the Pralaya, then also nothing exists. Again, when creation comes up, all things come up. So, in Absolute existence, Nirguna Nirakara, everything dissolves, and it alone remains. We call it Brahman. And when there is any reference, though it is unaffected, the whole creation appearing and disappearing never affects the Absolute existence. Just like fire and water, whatever is there in the space, Akasha, here in the space, nothing affects the space. Fire cannot burn it, nor whether it exists or doesn't exist, it is immaterial to the space. So space, when it is there also, it is not affected. Now, if you put smoke here or burn chilies, all of us will start coughing and running away. But it doesn't affect the space, you see. Space remains absolutely unaffected by all that happens within the space. So many things are happening. Bomb blast may take place, but space is not affected by it. Space is given room, but space is not affected. All things get affected, but not space. Like that, space, the one which has given room even for space, you imagine its subtlety, its unaffectedness. The macrocosm and microcosm rest in the mother's womb because it is a relative existence. Now do you see how vast it is? In the Mooladhara, the yogi meditates on her, and in the Sahasrara, Mooladhara is supposed to be the total manifestation of Jiva and Prakriti. Nature has come from Akash, the Absolute, then the infinite Akasha Tattva, then Vayu Tattva, one by one, the consciousness reducing and matter increasing. The lowest, last manifestation being Prithvi Tattva is Mooladhara, where consciousness is minimum and matter is maximum. In Sahasrara, consciousness is maximum and matter is almost zero. It is the door or the entrance to the Absolute. So they meditate on this whole universal aspect as Jiva and Jagat at Mooladhara and as pure Shuddha Nirguna Nirakara Brahman in the Sahasrara. The yogi meditates on her in Mooladhara, the yogi meditates on her in Sahasrara. Who but Shiva has beheld her as she really is? Shiva means the divine. Jiva Tattva, Prakriti Tattva and Shiva Tattva. Shiva is one who is immersed, the consciousness which is immersed in itself. The Shuddha Chaitanya, the bliss, enveloped by bliss and enjoying the bliss. Bliss is enveloped by bliss and enjoying the bliss. Nothing except bliss is there. So that Shuddha Chaitanya, where there is no duality, we call Shiva. Where there is no duality, it is immersed in itself. We call, there is no duality, then we call Shiva. With all dualities and multiplicity, the multifarious universe, we call the Divine Mother. Divine Mother is manifestation of the Absolute. Both are infinite. Purna Madav, Purna Midam. Idam represents the whole Divine Mother. Independent of this universe also, Divine Mother does exist for the sake of Jiva. And beyond it, there is Shakti inseparable from the Chit consciousness, Chit Chaitanya and Chit Shakti. There also Divine Mother exists. As universe also she exists. So she is one at all level. In the universe also she is one with the Chaitanya. The Shakti, where is all your powers? One with yourself. You are the consciousness. Your Shakti manifests as power to know, power to think, power to act, power to feel. All these powers are your own power. Where are they? In you. So within us is the Chaitanya. I am is Chaitanya. I become is Shakti. So Shakti is established like wave in ocean. Except ocean, who can know exactly what that wave is? The content is ocean, the power is of ocean, and ocean alone can know what wave is. So, Divine Mother, what she is, can be known only by Chaitanya. The power exists whole in and through the Chaitanya. As the absolute Nirguna Nirakara, the Shakti is one with it. Shakti is dissolved in the absolute Nirguna Nirakara. When the creation comes, it is she pervading, she has become everything. Because action, movement is there, she is there. Duality is there, she is there, manifest. As unmanifest, she is there with Brahman. As manifest, she is there one with the universe. When manifestation is there, Chaitanya becomes the substratum and pervading. When the manifestation is not there, the Shakti becomes one with the Chaitanya. When manifestation is there, Chaitanya becomes one with the Shakti. What is predominant? In manifestation, Shakti is predominant and it is pervaded by consciousness. Then also consciousness is there, pervading as substratum. When there is no manifestation, the Shakti itself dissolves in the Chaitanya. So, Chaitanya, Shakti pervaded by Chaitanya is Prakriti. Shakti dissolved in Chaitanya is absolute. The relative existence and the absolute existence. So Chaitanya is there at all times, knowing what that Shakti is. Who but Shiva has beheld her as she really is? Within the lotus wilderness, she sports beside her mate, the swan. Shiva, the absolute. The term swan is used because it is unaffected. Anything unaffected by its environment in which it stays is called swan. Which is, now swan has a special characteristics which sees or observes or grasps what is the essence of things. It doesn't see the nature and external, that is anything contaminated. It doesn't. Now milk, if it is kept for swan, it takes only the whey and leaves the water behind. If you keep the milk for the swan, it just puts its beak inside and moves about and goes on drawing the white whey in it. And milk is getting split and water is left behind and whey is taken away. The chana portion, the casein is taken away. We see, we have heard or known, the beak, the tongue of the swan contains some acidic property that can split the milk and leave water and take out the whey portion alone, white portion alone. Just like we split the milk and take away the chana and leave the water behind. The paneer part is taken away, milk is this paneer that needs something to split the milk, and what split the milk is there in the mouth or tongue or some secretions in the mouth of the swan. So it splits. I don't know whether all swans do or a few, but it is. And she, within the lotus of wilderness, you can see the creative process, the tremendous energy is released from the Chaitanya when there is the creative aspect, Srishti Sthiti Pralaya, when the whole universe appears. It is from the Bindu, the wave of love grossifies into the ripples of love. When the creation comes, there is throbbing in the Absolute, with the universe that has dissolved in the after the last creation, remains one with. A whole thing becomes energy, dissolves in the Absolute. Just like we sleep, our existence becomes energy and dissolves in our Chaitanya. Like that whole universe dissolves, and when it appears, first a wave of love, a ripple of love emerges. It is one with Chaitanya. Love makes one with the Chaitanya. When separates also, same love is visible, separating. The love which makes unite the Shakti into Chaitanya, the same love appears when it is separating from the Chaitanya. Shakti is separating, and that way ripples become wave. In that, the previous cycle's knowledge appears, and that knowledge makes I will become many again. Then suddenly the motherhood appears in it to multiply, and so it condenses into Bindu. In Bindu, it drags in the consciousness Chaitanya, and with Chaitanya, spinning with Chaitanya consciousness, imagine the tremendous movement that's going on, wilderness. It is like whirlpool drawing air into it and going below. So it drawing the Chaitanya consciousness, the Shakti, the power, energy dragging the consciousness, spins to expand within, to become the universe. The space, Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, one by one product of the universe is then the various pattern of manifestation, the various lives, bodies, the Pancha Jnanendriya, Pancha Karmendriya, Pancha Prana, Buddhi, Manas, Pancha Bhutas, energy, all manifest in this universe. Look at the wilderness with which it projects forth. One becomes multiple, multifarious universe. That he is being the lotus, within the lotus of wilderness, it is blooming. The universe is blooming out. The one is becoming multifarious. So it is considered to be blooming of lotus. Even in Sri Chakra, it is represented Bindu, and Bindu becoming lotuses. Various patterns and beauty. She sports beside her mate, the swan. It is like the two elements are throwing away various aspects of manifestations. It's a beautiful thing to imagine something like firework. In firework, that is, flower pots are there. In firework on Deepavali and all, crackers we do, you see. The fire and the fuel and the oxygen, fuel and oxygen, the fuel catches the fire and how it burns forth with the small amount of oxygen in the air. Varieties of colors and variety of the two things are necessary, one matter and the energy. Matter and energy are throwing away various colors, flower pots, and what we blast in the air, rockets we call. The rockets you can see is of the fireworks rockets, and you can see blasting in the air, leaving so many colors. Two things we see are kept separate, matter and fire. The fuel and fire. The fuel and fire, they become one and starts. Fire, just to touch in one place, it is sufficient. The whole thing starts bursting forth. So there are two necessary. One is energy, fire, and the other is material which burns and produces various colors. When man aspires to understand her, Ram Prasad must smile. Ram Prasad is the author of this song, who is known to have realized God in the aspect of Divine Mother. Must smile to think of knowing her. He says it is quite as laughable as to imagine one can swim across the boundless sea. Sea which has boundary, we can at least imagine, though it is impossible, vast sea from one either Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean. Somebody says, I am going to swim. We can imagine, all right, one day or the other he may reach swimming. If he is such a swimmer that he can cross over. But if it is boundless, where is the boundary to begin? Where is the boundary to end? It is boundless. So imagining boundless goes on and on and on, time consuming, but never ends. So knowing Divine Mother never ends. But while my mind has understood, alas, my heart has not. But while my mind has understood, alas, my heart has not. Though but a dwarf, it still would strive to make a captive of the moon. While mind understands, heart doesn't. Mind has limitation. Heart doesn't have limitation. Mind conceives it within itself. How does it conceive? Like you are driving a vehicle, there is a mirror in front of you. Huge buses and vehicles, the road, you can see in that small mirror. This much mirror is there in front of you while driving a vehicle. You are seeing a huge bus coming behind in that small mirror. The mirror can contain that bus, reflection of that bus. It can conceive what is. Seeing that, you can understand what is there. The mirror is reflecting what is there behind. Such a huge bus you can see in that small mirror. It is possible for the mirror to accommodate this bus in the form of an image. But heart is not like that. Heart is expansive, which wants to engulf, not contain. The mirror accommodates the image of the bus. But heart is not like mind. Mind accommodates, it understands, it conceives, but it cannot engulf, it cannot capture, it cannot hold. And heart is such a thing which wants to hold a thing. Mind is what? It wants to conceive things, understand things. This want to capture things, heart. Heart wants to embrace the actual object. The object's understanding alone enters the mind. So image can be, mind is like mirror which catches the image. Heart is like a ocean which wants to flood the object which is there. It wants to flood. It wants to flow and flood and capture. So Uh, Imagine, but while mind has understood, mirror has captured, alas, my heart has not. Heart is something that flows to Divine Mother. It is so vast that my heart wants to accommodate it. It wants to engulf the Divine, so vast that I am not able to. A pot has a hole and water is flooding out. It wants to engulf the whole mountain in front of it. It is not possible. The ocean, if it comes out, it can, all the surrounding area that is below the water level, below the ocean level, it can engulf. Anything in the largest thing, highest thing is when the wave comes from the ocean, it can raise to that level and it will be maximum a few meters or even say a kilometer. But beyond that, suppose a mountain is there by the side of ocean, it cannot. I have lot of love for Mother, but it wants to hold Mother in its embrace. But Mother is so vast that my whole embrace gets limited. It is so vast. So heart cannot, my heart has not, mind has understood. Oh, such is my Mother, so vast. But when heart tries to hold it, it is not able to hold. Though but a dwarf, it still would strive to make a captive of the moon. Moon is so far. Even if a tall man thinks, I grow one day to that, a dwarf, himself a dwarf, and moon is far off. So this difference, the vastness and the smallness, it conceives. Oh, a tall man is double him. If he says something, I will touch moon one day. Being a dwarf, to think that the understandings make us so small and distance so far off and the object so vast. What all scholarship gives us, oh, it is so small, a simple thing. When the flight flies high up in the sky, it looks like a small bee flying in the. When you see the huge flight, Boeing and all, which accommodates 500, 600 people in it, flying high in the sky, from the earth it looks so small that anybody says, can you to paint it, how much time it takes? He says 10 seconds. Seeing the size from here, he says, I can paint it in 10 seconds. When it lands on the earth, you see in hour you cannot paint its wheel that runs on the earth. Such a vast thing. Scholarship is like that. Oh, realization is so easy. God can be realized. The scholarship says, but to walk every inch, lives pass. Continuing, the Master said, did you notice? The microcosm and macrocosm rest in the mother's womb. Now do you see how vast it is? That is beyond all our reach. We are so puny and so small just because we are identified with this body. Even in sleep, deep sleep, we don't feel so tiny and so small because bodily identification is not there. And we see this is possible only by dissociating ourselves with the bodily existence. The more we are away from body, more we are disconnected from body, we become Chaitanya. There are two aspects of our existence. One is spirit, one is matter. We have become matter and therefore puny. We cannot understand God. But our spiritual existence, if it awakens, and our bodily existence, all limitation is put by the bodily. And if this bodily awareness goes away, you will see that you can easily become one with the transcendental reality. You can become one with the Divine Mother. You can become one with the absolute existence. You have all the power. You are that. You are becoming. You are. If it is bodily existence, you are nobody in this universe, nobody in the spiritual world, nobody in front of God, nobody in front of others also. So small you become because of the identification of body. When the identification drops off, you are everything. You are the Supreme. Om Niranjanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanukampa Dhrita Vigraham Vai Ishavataram Paramesha Medyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namamaha.